The wildcard chip has been activated by a lot of FPL managers going into Game Week 4, and in this video I'm going to tell you the best possible Game Week 4 wildcard draft. And if you're sat there deliberating whether to use your wildcard this week or later on in the season, I'm going to reveal the best possible time to use it. So make sure you stick around, and of course smash that like and subscribe button. We're aiming for 10k before the Game Week 4 deadline. I know you legends could do that. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So first up, we need to discuss when you should actually play your wildcard chip. And a quick reminder here, the wildcard chip is literally one of the most powerful chips in the game. It gives you the opportunity to have unlimited free transfers to build an entirely new squad with the budget that you have accumulated so far this season. So you can see the first point here. How do you actually know when to play your wildcard? A general rule of thumb for me is this. I would not even consider using the wildcard chip unless I had at least 6 significant transfers that I needed to make to my team. So there might be some teams sat there right now, whether you've got loads of injuries, players that have gone to Saudi, rotation risks. If that is over 6, let's say 7, 8, 9, then absolutely using your wildcard in Game Week 4 is a viable move. Otherwise, if it's only 3 or 4, I would much rather you use a points hit, maybe a -8, to get your squad to a position where you can postpone using the wildcard. Because as I said, it is the most powerful chip in the game. It gives you the opportunity to basically rectify a bad start to the season. It's like the Joker in the pack. And I don't think you should rush to any conclusions when you are playing it. So 6 minimum significant transfers for your team. Now, if you're in a position right now and you're looking at it thinking, I don't actually want to play it in Game Week 4, I can hold off for a little bit longer. When is the optimal time to do so? Now, as I said, it is completely dependent when you want to play your wildcard. But a general rule of thumb in years gone by is that the international break is quite a good time to use the wildcard. There's a few reasons for that in the international break. Now, it's a little bit of an FPL myth, but we do get some price changes during the international break, which is usually a 2-week period. It's quiet at the start, but it usually picks up at the end of the international break. And also, it gives us an opportunity to have a bit more information on the season. So what I'm saying here is the international break between Game Weeks 8 and Game Weeks 9 feels like the perfect time to use your wildcard. We'll have 8 game weeks worth of information, so we get an understanding on which players are good form, which teams are actually worth investing in. And of course, with the transfer window obviously being wrapped up, we know the players are actually going to be guaranteed game time in their respective teams. So the international break between Game Week 8 and going into the Game Week 9 deadline feels like the right time to use your wildcard. And another reason why I really like it, apart from having 8 game weeks worth of information, is the Liverpool fixture swing, which feels like an amazing opportunity to double down on. You can see here with the fixtures from Game Week 9 onwards, Liverpool have got Everton at home, Forest at home, Luton away, Brentford at home. Yes, they got City, but then Fulham at home, Sheffield United away, and Crystal Palace away. The fixtures are unbelievable. And we know right now that the investment in Liverpool is pretty low. And I think that's going to continue as the game weeks go on. If you were to use your wildcard in Game Week 4 right now, you might struggle to get yourself to invest in the Liverpool assets because of the premium prices of Mo Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Going for the Game Week 9 wildcard means that you could go for a triple up of maybe Salah, Trent, and chuck in a differential midfielder along the way. And that is a big reason why I love the idea of the Game Week 9 wildcard, to give yourself that little bit of an edge on the managers that used it early on. But that's not to say a Game Week 4 wildcard is a bad thing at all, because as I said, it is team dependent. And next up, I'm going to reveal to you the best Game Week 4 wildcard draft. So first up between the sticks, I have gone for the rotation of Flekken and Turner. Flekken's been decent so far this season. I think the preseason put everybody off investing in him. Nobody thought that they really could find a rare replacement, but he's looked steady in the opening fixtures. And Matt Turner, as 4 million goalkeeper, is as good as they get. Obviously, West Ham's Areola is a brilliant option as well, and I would not knock anybody going for him. But with the rotation that these two offer over the longer term, I think this is probably the route that I would go for. Now, I'll pop the fixtures on the screen here for you to see when you probably should play one or the other goalkeeper in their respective fixtures. Now, just to quickly say, I do think Ederson of Man City is a good investment if you want to pay 5.5 million for a goalkeeper. Man City's fixtures are good and we'd always back them for a clean sheet. But personally, Ederson is one of those goalkeepers that either gets 6 points or 2 points. With someone like Flekken who's already shown he can concede and still rack up decent save points, I want the goalkeeper who's a little bit cheaper but also can accumulate those big scores when they do get those clean sheets, because they'll get in the bonus points, they'll get those save points. So Flecken ticks those boxes, especially with the Brentford fixtures that they have longer term, looking great, in particular those home fixtures. So there are lots of goalkeeper options, but I would currently favour these two right now. Hopefully Matt Turner and Nottingham Forest can keep a few clean sheets to help this rotation look good in the long term. So moving into the defenders, and this is where it got a little bit difficult to pick the perfect 5. So first up, if you're wildcarded in game week 4, I think Ben Chilwell is a non-negotiable. I think later down the line, we could consider selling him, but for game week 4 at home against Nottingham Forest, I just think you put him in. He's basically playing as a left winger in this Chelsea team, and it is impossible to ignore him. And I also think at 4 million with Kabore, I think he's a really nice pickup as well. Luton actually come into some really good long-term fixtures. I know it's only Luton and you'll probably never play him, but I prefer him over someone like a Bulldog at Sheffield United. I think he's a good investment, especially playing as a right wing back in this system. But I think the other 3 defenders are definitely up for debate. So first up, I've been really impressed with Spurs' Udogie, picking up an assist in game week 3 and obviously racking up that 12-point haul. He went off of a slight injury, but we think he literally just stubbed his toe, and he should be available for game week 4 and beyond. And at 4.6 million currently priced in this Spurs team, who I think are better defensively than what we first expected, I think is a really nice budget option for your teams. And a reminder, you always want those defenders that offer both the clean sheet potential, but importantly, those attack and returns. And I think Udogie ticks all of those boxes. Now, the other 2 defenders that I've gone for are the ones that I had the biggest headache for, but I think we have landed on the right ones. First up, Ruben Diaz at Man City. Now, as I said, I'm going to be a little bit kind of contradictory here. I talked about defenders who have that high upside. I don't think Ruben Diaz necessarily offers that, because the Man City defenders don't necessarily do great for bonus points. And we know from an attacking potential, they don't offer the same sort of level as what a Ben Chilwell or a Udogie would. However, this is the Man City defence, and I know they conceded against Sheffield United, but they still are the best defence in the league. They dominate games, and teams only really get few and far moments against them. Now, at 5.5 million, I do think Ruben Diaz is the best investment into that Man City defence from a minutes perspective. It's worth noting, I really am bullish on Gavardiol as well. I think it was a real good thing that he played in game week 3 as a left back, meaning that I think he's both flexible in the back 3 that Man City sometimes play in build-up phases, but also as the left back. And I think if you want to go a little bit cheaper, Gavardiol is a brilliant investment in your wildcard teams. But based on guaranteed minutes, I am going to lean towards Diaz here in this opportunity. And I understand some people get a little bit bored of the Man City defence. They don't really offer loads apart from the clean sheet. But if you were wildcarding right now, I think it's difficult to ignore that Man City defence. Now, somebody who I am not bored of, and I really think is going to be an amazing option in the foreseeable future, is going to be Newcastle's Kieran Trippier. Now, this guy was absolutely essential in everybody's team last season, but he's been on the periphery the last few game weeks. Nobody's really owned him from the active community. Now, Newcastle in game week 4 are away against Brighton, but after that they have Brentford, Sheffield United, Burnley, West Ham and Crystal Palace. I think this is an amazing opportunity if you're wildcarding right now to go in on Trippier and have him in your team long term. He offers, as we know, a clean sheet potential, but he is a bonus point magnet and attacking returns are definitely there for him as an asset. Now, what I'm going to do is pop on the screen quickly a rotation planner for these 5 defenders over the long term to give you an idea on how I would play them. Now, this is based on fantasy football fixes predictions. I would make some slight changes here. I realistically would never play Kabore at any moment. I would play a back 3 most weeks, but you can see the rotation is definitely there. We could play Chilwell, Udogie, and of course Diaz in game week 4. But then in game week 5, we have some really nice rotations there where you can bench Diaz away against West Ham with some favourable fixtures for the other players. And in game week 6 and 7, you can see Udogie has some tricky games, but the other players have some fantastic ones. Again, I would bench Kabore over there and play Chilwell over that period. But this kind of fixture rotation just gives you a bit of an idea here on how I would operate the defenders and why they work so well together. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Moving into the midfielders, and damn was this hard to pick a 5. The midfielders this season are offering unbelievable value. And if I could pick 10, I absolutely would. But unfortunately, we have been narrowed down to 5. And these are the 5 that I've selected right now. So first up, James Maddison. If I was wildcarding in game week 4, I simply would have to invest in him. He's on all set pieces, indirect free kicks, direct free kicks, corners. What I love about that is if Spurs or Maddison are playing absolutely terribly, it doesn't matter because he still has a route to points in any fixture, anytime. So that is a real bonus when we are looking at someone from an FPL perspective. And at 7.7 million, he is at the heart of everything good at Spurs. In phases, he's playing alongside the forward in a press, but also in actual transitional moments. I really like Maddison as a pick. Yes, he might be deemed a bit more of a steady Eddie going forward, but if I'm wildcarding right now, those are the sort of players that I need in my midfield to kind of balance those really aggressive picks. And he is absolutely that man. I don't see a world where you can go without James Maddison. And talking about essential players, Bukayo Saka is that man. Took the penalty in game week 3 when he really did need to step up. I think that's really good for positive kind of penalty thoughts going forward. I think there's a solid chance that Saka will be the penalty taker in future weeks. Arsenal, we know, are a little bit meh right now, but I expect them to figure it out. And I want the golden boy in Bukayo Saka, who offers guaranteed minutes, penalties. And I just think he is the man to own in game week 4 and beyond. And the same's going to be said for Bruno Fernandes. A little bit controversial. I know some may say Rashford is the one to go for, or some may argue that Man United in general are there to be avoided. But Bruno Fernandes has looked fantastic in a Man United shirt so far this season, and he took the penalty again when it mattered in game week 3, which suggests to me he is going to be the Man United penalty taker going forward. And I've discussed previously, Eriksen coming into midfield balances well for Bruno Fernandes to get forward and influence the attack. And if they were to sign someone like an Amrabat as well, that is just going to double down Fernandes' appeal of being a creative force in that team. Now, the exciting one, the joker in the pack, is going to be Phil Foden. If I was wildcarding right now, I simply couldn't go without him. The Man City fixtures are fantastic. He missed game week 3 due to illness, not due to rotation. Now, I know they signed Doku. I know they signed Matheus Nunes. There could be some rotation later down the line with the Champions League as well. However, I don't see anybody else in this Man City team that can do the things that Foden does from a creative perspective. No one's better on that half turn and linking up play with someone like a Haaland. His attempted assists per 90 are ridiculous for Phil Foden. I think Pep really wants to get him as a number 10 alongside Alvarez behind Haaland in this system. I think if you wildcard in game week 4, you simply have to put Phil Foden in your team. Last up, Mbeumo. Now, I'm going to say this here. There is no Raheem Sterling in this midfield, as you can see, but Mbeumo, if you have the budget available, could absolutely be Raheem Sterling here. But I'm just doing this based on a £100 million budget because some people have lost value in their teams. But look, if you have the budget and you want to go Raheem Sterling, I cannot argue that at all. And it is the time to bring him in with Nottingham Forest at home in game week 4. But I think Mbeumo, I know he's a little bit of a boring pick, but he's still a fantastic option. He's on penalties. I rate the Brentford attack in general. They always rack up big chances per game. And the fixtures are good in the long term. They have some great home fixtures, especially in game week 4 against Bournemouth. I know it's a bit of a boring pick, but I think Mbeumo just ticks all of those boxes right now. And he's a nice option because I feel like you can sacrifice him to another 6.5 later down the line. Maybe a Diaby, maybe a Kudos if he does look like he's a brilliant option. But that's my midfield 5. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, moving into the forwards, as I discussed, the midfielders are unbelievable value this season. So the formation that I would play would be a 3-5-2. I can't justify going for 3 forwards that are actually quite expensive. And lo and behold, Archer ticks those boxes as a cheap forward at 4.5. Now, ignore the kit in Aston Villa because he has confirmed his transfer from Aston Villa to Sheffield United. I expect him to play a lot of minutes for them because I think he is going to be essential for them to stay up this season. Obviously a great goal scorer, a brilliant player to have in your wildcard draft as a bench option, knowing that if you were to get an injury, but you didn't want to use a transfer in that week, you could simply play him knowing that most likely he is going to play and start for Sheffield United. Now, Erling Haaland is just a lock. I know there's a little bit of talk about the community about him not being as good of an FPL option, but if you want to take that risk, be my guest. But realistically, I think it is just absolute FPL suicide if you were to go without Erling Haaland in your teams, and he is simply the obvious captaincy pick for game week 4. But I think the real decision right now is who that second forward is going to be alongside Erling Haaland. Now, I have lent towards Nicholas Jackson because the fixtures are good for Chelsea. And what I like about the Chelsea team is that they don't have a lot of goal scorers in their side. If they were to play the back 3, Caicedo, Enzo and Gallagher in the midfield 3, I don't see loads of goals from there. So if Chelsea are going to do well over this period, it's only going to be one of a few players that actually racks up the goals, like a Sterling, like a Nicholas Jackson, or Ben Chilwell. I think Jackson's looked good so far. A little bit clumsy, but he has been in the right areas for Chelsea, whereas last season we saw someone like a Havertz not be in those situations at all. Now, I think there's definitely an argument, if you have the money available, to go to a Watkins, for example. I think Aston Villa against that Liverpool team with no Van Dijk and no Konate is definitely going to get chances. And what I like about Watkins at 8 million, it gives you a nice little placeholder, maybe to go to Gabriel Jesus at the same price once he is back in the Arsenal team. But for me, I think Nicholas Jackson ticks all the boxes. And for someone that isn't going for Sterling in the midfield, I think you need some sort of Chelsea attack investment. And Nicholas Jackson is that man. So again, let me know your thoughts in the comments on this overall wildcard draft. Yes, guys, okay, so that is going to wrap up today's wildcard draft video. I really hope it has provided some value, and I only can wish you guys good luck for those that have activated the chip and are playing it this game week. Let me know what your current draft is if you're on wildcard in the comment section. And that just leaves me to say thank you so much for tuning in. As I said, we're trying to aim for 10k before the Friday evening deadline. I know it's optimistic, but I know you legends could do that. So make sure you do smash that subscribe button, drop a like on the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Cheers.